Olivgar Orlipas was once a man who was kidnapped for an experiment to test the boundaries of the human mind. They killed his family in front of him, mentally torturing him. Then they beat him with bats, metal rods, etc. Then they finally killed him. Then they stuffed him inside a yellow rabbit suit. Then they left him in the suit. He was brought back by immortality. He was enraged and broke out of his cell, killing 72 people in the process. He broke out of the facility that he was found 2 years later. Then he had to work for a top-secret mission to kill human/animal hybrids that escaped. As he was sent to kill human/animal hybrids, he was given whisk blades to kill more efficiently. Then a year later almost all of them were gone. Then he went for the search for the last 2. He found them in an abandoned house. He recalls them having a wolf-like appearance. He went straight for the male, stabbing him in the stomach and picking him up and cutting off his head. Then after he went to the female, stabbing her in the eye socket. That was enough to kill her. As he was about to leave, he heard a sniffle. Not like that of an adult, but a child. He turned around to see they had a child. He was filled with guilt. Not wanting to leave her there, he took her in his arms and ran away to not be seen 5 years later, while he was out to look for food for the child. When he was back, he saw the same people taking the child to euthanize her. He was filled with rage, sprinting to the van, smashing the engine, leaving the van useless. Then the people got out their guns, then started firing at him. But it did nothing. He picked both of them up and smashing both of their skulls in each other. And the third had a gun to the head of the child, making him more raged. He smashed him to the ground, killing him instantly. The child, in fear, ran away from the carnage. He ran after her, seeing she was heading to a populated area. He was able to catch her right before she ran to the populated area, but it was too late. People got photos of him, posting it all over social media, getting very viral. People calling him all sorts of names like the Rabbit Man or Yellow Rabbit or the Man in the Woods. Then later on, 2 years later, he was forgotten about, putting all the theories and stories to an end. Then later on, he was watching the populated area. He was starting to remember the town. It was his childhood town. He saw people with guns heading to a school. He knew exactly what was happening. He ran to the school right before the shooters got in. Not caring about being seen, after all, the kids' lives mattered more. He hid inside, waiting for one to walk by. As they broke in, they started shooting immediately, and frightened him, reminding him of his childhood when intruders broke in to his home when he was home alone. And then he snapped back to reality when he noticed one walking by. Then he grabbed the shooter's head and crushed his skull in his hand, and dropping his body, he picked up his gun and went to find the last shooter. And he found another in a classroom about to fire at the children. He ran to the shooter. The shooter, seeing gun of his fallen comrade, tried shooting at him, but of course it did nothing. He used his waist blade and impaled his arm to the floor and smashed his chest, shattering the shooter's rib cage. Then Olivgar smashed through the window and off to the cemetery. He found the grave of his brother Alex. Then he remembered what happened. His brother was driving with his dad. Then his dad lost control of his arms. Then they crashed. His father survived, but his brother sadly did not. Then he remembered. The child was alone. Then he ran to the forest for the search of the child. It wasn't long. He found her. She was at the river where she liked to play. He realized that the child never really had a name. Then he asked the child, "What do you want your name to be?" The child was confused. She asked what was a name. Then Olivgar replied, "A name is what you call someone." Then the child shrugged her shoulders and said, "I don't know." Then he asked, "What about Alex or Alexandra?" Then the child said, "Sure, I like it." Then the child asked, "Then what's your name?" Olivgar said, "My name is John. It was my name." Then Alexandra asked, "Why was it your name?" Then Olivgar replied he doesn't want to talk about it.